Welcome back. You're watching Business Lunch, and take a look at the market. Some bit of recovery that has been seen, especially after some comments coming in on the US-China trade tensions being eased, especially after the Huawei arrest, management arrest. There was more, pressure on the markets because of trade tensions probably escalating, and that has been arrested, it seems. But I would definitely say that this is not looking very convincing, because some of the stocks at high points are getting sold in. To take a look at Reliance Industries as well as Kotak Mahindra Bank, Axis Bank, ICICI Bank, all of them made an attempt and have helped the Nifty 50 to recover. But at the top point, there is a little bit of resistance on a further lift up in the market. Let's take it to more news then coming in. The Indian power sector's woes continue mounting, but could the renewable power sector be headed down the same road? That's a big question there in the renewable energy space. And Shireen Bhan actually caught up with the management of ReNew Power, Sterlite Power, Transmission, as well as Hero Future Energies and Tata Power Solar to understand the issue that could potentially plague the sector and the road ahead for this particular sector. Listen in.
The grid needs to be really improved, because you can't actually have a grid which is operated in the way that it is today and have more than 15 or 20% renewables getting fed into it. Yeah. You need to actually expand the ability of the grid to absorb more power. You need more transmission lines. You need better software to manage the grid. So that is an area that the government can really work on without really impacting any of these issues that we talked about earlier, which is around pricing and so on.
If you look at the power consumption growth in the month of October, it's 11% year-on-year growth. Right. Some states, non-election states, have grown at 30%. We must remember that the last 3 years were definitely so-called bad years for the sector, close to 0% growth in some years, and that's changing almost dramatically in the last few months.
Our targets are very ambitious. Having said that, one of the biggest elephants in the room is the DISCOM health. And even the Electricity Act, the bill that's there, that talks about carriage and content separation. Yeah. So let's get that bill in. Yeah. As soon as the next government comes in, whenever the government comes in, I think one of the first priorities would be to make that an act, because it's a very well-written act, and almost everything gets covered there.
When we are talking about the cost and the cost reduction, at least in this industry now, we have to look at a total cost of ownership. Look at it that plant has to work for 25 years, not on a transactional basis, whatever Excel sheets today prove as a point of returns and the debt cost of it. And I think when we will look into it, the aspect of quality will come into it. And I think that's a major factor which we have to see across these installations. If we complete 100 gigawatt, we are virtually covering one Switzerland with our modules as such. I think it is important that we talk about the quality and the cost if that quality is not being met as such.
All right, with that, we move on to the world of cricket. India had a disastrous start in the first test match against Australia in Adelaide. After winning the toss, India opted to bat first earlier in the day, but Virat Kohli and his men had a bad start, with Josh Hazlewood removing KL Rahul in the second over of the day. India's slide continued as Murali Vijay too was dismissed shortly after. Usman Khwaja took an absolute screamer at gully to send captain Virat Kohli packing for 3. And then Hazlewood took the wicket of vice-captain Ajinkya Rahane, reducing India to 41 for 4. Rohit Sharma, Cheteshwar Pujara tried to repair the innings, but the Australians broke the stand as India lost half of their side at 86. But now as we speak, India is upwards of 240 runs, and Cheteshwar Pujara steadying the ship with a steely century.
All right, it's not just the markets. Probably India's performance is also something that is bothering you. So that's also on our radar today. But it's time to really wrap Business Lunch. Before we wrap up the show, let's also leave you with some of the market opinions really coming in from market veteran Ramesh Dawani, who says that buying the dips will be a better strategy than selling the rally at this point.
The underlying tone must be bullish, because this country is giving us such great opportunities. The index has gone from 800 to 36,000 during the last 30 years. So the opportunities to make money, to be a great entrepreneur, to contribute to society has been so enormous. And I think we should not lose the trees for the forest. So I would not be particularly wary of this bull market ending. I would say that buy the dips is a better strategy than sell the rallies. I think the market's fear of election uncertainty are perhaps overplaced. I think there's a good chance that the state elections might disappoint the market, but I think the people will vote differently between the state election and the national election, due in 2019. And I think the market will overcome those sort of fears. Quick service restaurants will, be probably a good place to go. Some of the stocks are still fairly cheaply valued in a manner of speaking compared to the potential, not necessarily on earnings basis. So that looks good. A little bit of the, alcohol, because human habits don't change. The sin stocks will probably do well. The gaming stocks, I think increasingly this will become a very important gaming market in India in terms of casino. Across Asia is a jewel, right? Starting from Japan, Singapore, Malaysia, Philippines. You have gaming everywhere. So if you want to be a part of the MICE market, you'll almost have to introduce gaming. So, we're fairly optimistic. I think there are a couple of companies with early leadership in that sector. So that'll do well.